Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case on George Rimmon Boulevard. You'll need a lot of alcoholic beverages tonight to drink away tonight's 7-1 loss to the league-leading Boston Bruins, and possibly the worst effort we've seen all season from this hockey team. I'm joined by my always on my co-host, Duane and Cully. Glad to have you on tonight, bud. Let's just unwrap this for what it was, one of the biggest dog shit efforts of the season.
You know what, Duane? You hit the nail on the head. It's an embarrassing loss, and I go back to one moment. You see UPL, who's been fairly good at controlling his emotions. Anytime you see a goalie, and you know well, like we were told not to slash our sticks and break our sticks in frustration, because it does two things, right? It shows frustration, but it also sends a message to the other team kind of that, hey, we got to this guy. Now, I'll stand up for what UPL did, because you know what? He should be pissed off. Not that he played the greatest, but it seemed like after, I get that penalty call in the first, we'll get to it on that shit call. But like when you look back, all right, they get the empty net goal. We come back, Casey scores, right? We get the power play. Jeff gets that close. And after that, brother, a complete fucking embarrassment. Nobody's trying. You go back to that last goal. It was Charlie Coyle walks through four of our guys. Nobody picks up the late guy, taps in the rebound. The other two were just as bad. Flat out embarrassing, Duane.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen better back checking in men's league.
Yeah,
quite frankly, like the second goal.
It's the pride factor, right? Men's league is men's league. You're in the National League.
Yeah.
I only wonder how big of a. Hear me out on this. Just came to me. Tuck not being in that room and Darlene, like those are the two guys that I feel like helped this engine move. How much of a factor do you think that plays? And I'm not giving them a scapegoat. I'm just saying, I don't think this happens with them in the lineup. At least, I'm not saying we're a win. What do you think? Like at the end of the game, maybe do we see them like stick it out? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, again, not having Darlene hurts a lot. Your transition games north to south. I mean, he's a huge contributor to your breakout, starting your own end. Possibly your best, not possibly is your best defenseman in transition. He's the quarterback of your power play. All of it, man. He does so much when he's out there, and to not have him for multiple games during such a crucial part of the schedule, where you have these games in hand, you had that advantage of the games in hand, and you just you can't afford to not at least get points, even loser points.
Yeah.
And obviously not having Alex Tuck on that first line, which has arguably been one of the best lines, if not the best line in the National Hockey League this year. You have three bona fide 30-plus goal scorers on that line. And I would like to say this outcome would have been a little bit different, but I mean,
I'm referring more, and you make a great point, the on-ice presence. I'm talking about in the room, around the bench, because you've been in these games where, you know what, it's apparent we're going to lose with 5 minutes left. We're down by 3, right? I mean, anything can happen, but as a goalie, the feeling, right? Mm. And I know it doesn't matter, like, to some people, but, like, you're playing in the fucking National Hockey League with the winged saber, the saber on your chest, and you're telling me that shit you're gonna fucking pack it in like that?
That's what they did. They packed it in.
It's just what it looked like, is it not? Like that's more what I was getting into. how important are these two guys to our makeup, that just without the two of them in a third period, we face some adversity. No, let's quit. Let's quit in front of the whole world against the best team and one of our longtime rivals.
Yeah.
Quick stats. We got outshot 42-27. Only thing we did well tonight was we did well on the faceoffs. 0 for 3 on the power play, to your point about Darlene, right? Like, that changes things. And also him and Tuck on the PK. Bruins were able to get a big power play goal when it mattered. They out-hit us 27-22. They out-blocked us 13-8. I mean, you look through this lineup and you mentioned, it's tough to pin on any one guy. I didn't like our play all around. I thought Luukkonen. Let me take you back. I missed the first period. I was on the ice. Take us through that call.
The tripping call on Luukkonen?
Yeah.
Here's my opinion. It's probably an unpopular opinion. You saw the play, right? You saw the trip?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I've been ascribed to it 3 times.
It was a trip. It was a trip. Regardless if it's accidental or not, if you accidentally high stick somebody in the face, it's still a high stick. If you accidentally trip somebody, it's still a trip. It was a trip. His stick caught Pasternak in the leg, and he tripped. He was out of his paint right after a save. Granted, it was in the process of making a save, but he tripped him. While I don't think it was intentional to a ref's perspective, it could have looked intentional. He had his stick out at his feet, and even though Luukkonen was still moving, he tripped him. So I mean, we can say it was a trash call all we want. It was a trip.
But that was the penalty with 10 minutes, about like halfway through the second period.
Yep, that was
scored their first goal on the power play. And like we talked about with Darlene and Tuck out, this comes a special team game. They were able to get that puck movement, and we completely out of position in the 4-on-3. Orlov makes that pass across. Thompson loses him, and he's left wide alone. So, like, you look at the turning point, and that's going to happen. Tough call, but you got to be able to kill that off as a goalie. And I'm not putting that goal on him. Maybe if it's 5-on-4, it's different. But Duane, that first goal doesn't go in, and then we capitalize, maybe it's different. I don't know. I just really embarrassed about the lack of finish in this team. Even if you're going to lose, you don't fuck off. You don't give up on a back check. You play it out for your goalie. And even Boston was talking about, they're upset that they didn't get Swayman the shutout. Like, you get what I'm getting at? Like, I just feel like this is where we got to be. We're not there yet. But I don't mean to bury on kick a dead horse. But
no, you're not wrong, though.
Any positives you saw from tonight? You got Dylan Cousins at -3, Middlestat -3 with a goal,
man.
Skinner -3, Olofsson -3, Thompson -3 with 1 shot on goal. And then on the defensive side, it's spread out pretty evenly. Jokiharju -2, Samuelson -1, Power -2, Obushkin and Stillman -1. But take me through this Stillman trade, Duane. What's the point of this? We lost out on Chychrun. Why couldn't we get him? For what Ottawa gave up? A conditional first, a conditional second.
No, it was a first. It was a protected, a lottery protected first, a conditional second, and another second.
Right, and the second is in 2024. And if you're telling me, if you're Kevin Adams, to shore up that third defenseman that we need to play opposite of, the top guys.
Yeah.
We couldn't give up a lottery protected first this year, and a second next year, and a second 4 years from now. Are you fucking crazy?
Well, part of the reasoning I think that came out of Ottawa Arizona, was there were a lot of other there were a lot of other offers on the table, but no teams were willing to retain all of Chychrun's salary. Like, Arizona did not want to retain anything, which, I mean, Buffalo's in the position to eat that salary. They desire. They are, which I don't really buy that as an excuse to not go after Chychrun.
If Eugene Melnick's still alive with his tight penny books, and rest in peace, Eugene, did they make that move? They were cheap in the past, right? Like, and I like
I
this
don't
from
know.
DJ
That's
Smith.
a good question. That's a good question if Melnick was still alive. I don't think they do.
Not the only trade from Buffalo ain't concerned. A guy that hasn't been was one of the key pieces besides the pick, and can't call it a key piece. Anders Borg came over, played okay, never really found his role here. I think Kevin Adams and Granado kind of saw that he wasn't a part of this going forward.
No, we got waived, and
here's the tough
the down in Rochester all season. Apparently, the organization made Bjork a promise at the deadline they would find a home for him to go play in the NHL.
And I'm
Chicago
okay
being that.
But the fact that we got a bag of pucks. That's what we used to joke. Future considerations.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean,
yeah, like I got traded for future
Ray.
considerations once, and they used to joke with me, Cully, you just got traded for a kid that's fucking 4 years old right now. He's gonna get drafted in 2030.
Yeah,
right. Like it's tough.
I mean, Rob Ray was traded to Ottawa for future considerations. You know what I mean? Like,
you go back to Shanahan, I think, got traded for 50 cents, or Draper. Chris Draper.
Yeah, I think Marc-Andre Fleury was traded for future considerations from Vegas to Minnesota, you know, to eat the salary.
The calories.
Calories. Yeah, dude, and this is that was right after he won a Vezina trophy. Like, listen.
Yeah, because it was the expansion draft. You're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, beat around the bush. But Buffalo was absolutely in a position to go get Chychrun. They traded Josh Bloom, a second-round pick, a point overall player in junior, a point per game player in junior hockey right now. A kid who, you know, I met his father at development camp. Very good, you know, comes from a great family.
Oh yeah. High ceiling too. Scouting reports through the roof on this blue.
Yeah, you know, at the very least, I think he would have been a really good 200-foot bottom six player. You know what I mean? Like that's what I thought about Josh Bloom. You know, in a few years from now, when he makes an NHL roster, you trade that kid for Riley Stillman, a guy who, you know, I'm not an analytics guy, but his wins against replacement this season has been a 24%.
Yeah, that's for anybody that doesn't understand that. And I'm, you know, that's not a shot. Excuse me.
No, I'm just.
That ain't good, folks. That ain't good. 24 is not a good number.
No, it's not good. And
you want to be above. You want to be above 50, and the higher you are, the better you are.
Exactly. And listen, yeah, maybe they see something. I know Kevin Adams played with his father, Corey Stillman, back in the Carolina days.
Of course, you know there's a connection there.
There's a connection there.
Matter if Stillman got no gas in the tank. Duane, you said something to me prior to the show. How do you look tonight?
Like dog shit.
Bad feet. Listen, I get it. He just got traded. But listen, this is a business. You get traded. And not even that. When you go from one team to the other, a lot of these guys have done it. You're a paid professional. No reason to show up like that in your first game. This is your chance. You know, you've been on new teams. How important is that first game for us goalies? Right?
Huge.
And I think it's the same for a guy like that.
I would say the only person not to blame on the ice tonight was UPL.
Yeah,
he was given zero help tonight. He made some big saves. You know,
keep that game early, Duane. You're right.
And you want to know what? Like the back checking from your forward groups was absolutely atrocious on that second goal. All Dylan Cousins has to do is take one hard stride, and he stops Luka from having to play on the puck there. All he has to do is take one hard stride. That's it.
One stride, and
one hard stride. Get a stick on him. That goal doesn't happen.
How much does that bother you when you see that? When you see a guy that can clearly make a play, whether it's at the end of a rush or on a back check, stop moving their feet. As a goalie, it's always killed me.
And if there's any guy on the ice that would surprise you from it, it's Dylan Cousins, because it's like they call him the workhorse from Whitehorse. Like he's nonstop 0 to 10 at all times. Like the guy is a competitor, and to see him just with that dog shit effort, that was disheartening. And that kind of told the story of the night. If that guy isn't giving the effort in certain key situations, then this game is going to go nowhere. It's going to go nowhere. Like that was the first time when they went down 2-0 going into the third period. I said to myself, I'm like, they're not going to get back into this game. No way. They're just we've seen them getting back in games from being down 2-0 this season, But I said that I was like, there's no way they're getting back in this game. I'm just watching the effort level. I'm watching like certain small ice areas where they're just not doing the simple things right, and there's just no way. I was ready to turn the game off. You know, you woke me up. I wasn't even going to do a post game tonight because I was just disgusted by the effort. Disgusted.
And you didn't even see, and that's before the worst 5 minutes happened, right?
Yeah.
So what does that tell you about it? That it wasn't just a 1 5 minute segment at the end. It was an all night thing. No. I'd say, you know what? For 30 minutes, you had a goalie that kept you in a game against a team, granted, that is on pace to break the record. 48, 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like you come in, your goalie gives you a chance in the 0-0. Sorry, I can only laugh lost because Olofsson and Paterka can't buy a goal, so they turn pucks over and let the Bruins score. Stillman's still a scrub, a bench warmer, how they scratch. I agree. Maybe you look at the move. Oh, here we go, another one. Sabres are so poor defensive play always. Yeah, Duane, I agree with both of them. I see Stillman as a ceiling, as a seventh defenseman that there. If we go through what we did with in the run to the cup with McKee and all them, go ahead, read that one.
Yeah, from Chris Durek, nobody showed up except for UPL, and I feel bad for him. Bad coaching decisions, lousy officiating. Somebody better be pissed off in that locker room. This is embarrassing, and that is truly pathetic. I couldn't agree more with Chris. You know,
but who is it with Darlene and Tuck? I feel like Tuck would be the guy to stand up and say, that was fucking embarrassing. We're going back out in the ice, fucking Miracle style. We're skating out. But what do you think?
I mean, you would hope it's like Okposo, right? You know, this potentially being, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be his final year, but potentially being his final year, because I mean, I don't know if the team's going to bring him back.
I don't either, but I don't look at him as a super vocal leader. I think he's great at with.
I don't think he is either.
And I really do think the voice in that locker room since he's been here has been Alex Tuck. Okay, and look what he's done to the guys around him. Right, they formed that core that we've been looking for. Mm-hmm. And I really mean this because I know how delicate it is in a locker room, right? It's like any company, right? When you remove two very important pieces that are your two best pieces, any company, any sports team is going to struggle. Not just the on-ice product, but who's taking over and saying what needs to be said in the locker room. And I'm not saying you got to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes the best thing to be said in the locker room is nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It makes me worry that maybe we didn't realize how big of a leadership role, either one of them played, especially Tuck, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that Tuck is a big vocal leader in that room.
Besides him,
he takes a lot of pride. He takes a lot of pride in that crest. You know what I mean? He takes a lot of pride in that jersey. Whether it's the blue and gold or the red and black, he plays with a ton of heart, a ton of pride, and I'd imagine if he was, playing tonight, he would have been disgusted with that effort, 100%. And that's the thing, man. It wasn't. I mean, yes, it was for a lack of skill, but the goals that they scored on you tonight, it wasn't like they were these high skill plays. I'm like, yeah, there are a couple more nice passing plays.
The first one was a great 4-on-3 execution, but
yeah,
again,
it's a power.
Thompson knows that he can't get sucked too far over.
Yeah.
And or Luukkonen has to realize that if Thompson's on that side, he has to pick up Orlov as the backside shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that one, you're right. Like the Lacko's goal right after that, the 2-0 goal was a rebound, right?
Dog shit. It was just a dog shit effort, just to pick up a guy up in front. And,
right. Instead, Carlo's got two Sabres within 3 feet of him. Nobody picks up a stick.
Yeah, the Zacha goal too. Like Stillman, who was it that made the pass? Was
Krejci
it
made that nice backhand?
Krejci made the Zacha, but like Stillman, I mean, what's
that's your fucking only job, Duane? You know, is that front defense? What is your job when that puck comes in? What's your job?
You take the pass. You do not take the shooter.
So
and,
for him,
personally, when you're in that tight to your goaltender, you don't lay out your body like that.
No, because he's
never lay out your body like that. Maybe go down to a knee. Sure.
If anything, go stick on stick. Make sure you're not going to get the puck bounced in off you.
Never lay out like that. And that right there, that's just a lack of defensive awareness. And I said it after I watched a bunch of his highlights with Vancouver this past season.
You mean what, low lights?
Low lights. It's really watching Ristolainen in terms of defensive awareness.
I need to know. You brought it up in my head, and I can't get it out. Is the Stillman connection with Ken Adams the reason we brought him in? Because
I know, man. Maybe his dad sold him.
I've agreed with Kevin a lot, and so have you lately. But that deal fucking stinks.
You traded a sure. I'm not gonna call him a blue chip prospect. But you traded a good prospect in Josh Bloom for a seventh defenseman. That's what he is. He's a seventh.
What about this? What if Ryan Johnson has finally played his way into our plans? Because with Power and with Darlene and with these contracts with Samuelson and Yoki Haru, Johnson was kind of kicked to the side. This is a first round pick or a really high first pick of the second round.
Yeah,
it has gotten better and better at Minnesota. I was told this at a young age. Duane, you remember that goalies develop, at 25?
Yeah.
Right? The defensemen and forwards closer to 22. When you come out of major juniors, you're 19, 20 years old. But Johnson, the good thing for him, he's probably 22 years old. He looks great for Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think maybe, is that part of it? Is that why Bloom's expendable? I'm not, I just get trapped. But that's
sure, but if he's expendable, if Josh Bloom is expendable, then why couldn't he be expendable in a trade that brings you Jacob Chikrin?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't understand why the need for another guy who is about as valuable to your lineup as Jacob Bryson. Like, sure Riley Stillman plays with some more grit, some more tenacity. He's a more physical guy, but
and let's give him the benefit of the doubt, Duane, that maybe some of that was just getting used to Donnie's system. But Donnie's best part about Donnie is it's everybody's played a system like this. It's very, very simple communication. Let's not switch unless we have to. Let's keep the team together. But I think we saw an absolute debacle of our game plan, and I think it was effort based. And I love the questions the fans ask because they hit the nail on the head. And like I said, I don't want to spend the whole show on this, but we've seen some bright spots from this team. You've seen them win 6 out of whatever, and then you can't keep having these highs and lows. The best teams find a way, like you said, to at least get a loser point,
Yeah,
I think that's so huge. We're going to have a great show for you guys in a week or two where me and Duane have been planning this for a long time about if we were at the general manager's meeting, what our rule changes would be. Just a little teaser. That's going to be a great episode. We're going to have a really special guest on for that. We got into some really interesting stuff. It just popped into my head, Duane. You know what I'm referring to. But you look at Boston, they have been so good at home, and it's become a storyline. Fucking 48, 8-5. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And we were 0-0 with them. So don't put this on the goalie like the last
the furthest thing from the goalie.
They gave up in the last 5 minutes on the crest. Yeah. And that's what bothers me right here. Right. And Duane, I know you're gonna make fun of me. Bob Bugner taught us that is worth something. That is worth sacrificing everything. And when you don't have that, Cody, like you just said, you're gone. See ya. Fucking get the fuck out of here.
Agreed.
Without that, Duane, what do we have as a hockey player?
Again, if you're not gonna play with pride, if you're not gonna look at and to be this close to an opportunity to break an 11-year playoff drought, and in a lot of ways, it's been for us hockey fans.
We're the first team out of the wild card. Sorry, go ahead.
We're this close. This is the closest we've been in almost a decade. Just is. With games at hand, you're the third highest scoring team in the National Hockey League. To get this close and to not, and to, you haven't seen this kind of engagement online on Twitter with Sabres fans.
Well, Sabres online is back. Hey,
it is. And you see the engagement at games again. Fans are showing up and showing out. You have the fans back to a certain extent.
I've been to 4 games in the past month. It's more than I've been in the past 8 years.
Why are you just as a GM? I understand he's pretty much stuck to everything he said.
But as a GM, you got to be able to ride or die on the flexibility and be able to make moves.
Why waste this? Why waste this? I mean, I know you value that pick quite a bit because it's such a deep draft, but you see some of the players that have been dealt for the returns that they have. Yeah. You absolutely could have been a player on some deals.
Dude, go back to the Chychrun one. Go back to Chychrun because really, Duane, you make an excellent point. You know who's sitting with us at 66 right below us?
The Islanders are in front of us. Ottawa's right there.
Yeah. With us. And we have one game in hand, obviously, but Ottawa made that deal. 18 from Mary.
Mauricio Arenas. He's always in there. Mauricio.
Okay, Mauricio. Love you. Love that.
18-game losing streak coming next 12 years, missing playoffs, no pride, no talent, poor GM, poor ownership. Listen, I was a big conspiracy theorist. I went live after the Sabres missed out on Chychrun. I said I think, and it's been talked about a lot in the past year, I personally think in some way, shape, or form, at least a minority stake of this team is for sale right now.
I would think so, but I think that, and I agree with you for one part because I think I love the Bagulas for what they did, and I want to get to Paramount Pictures coming here, but I think that they've realized that they've done well with the Bills, not so much with the Sabres. Maybe they bit off more they could chew.
Yeah,
but I respect the fact that they're gonna do this the right way and not just quick sell it. Make sure you sell it to the right person. And on that note, so Paramount Pictures, and even more money is coming off the books next season, which is a great point because when you look to the free agent class, it's going to be interesting, right? A lot of rental players. Bishop's $5 million is coming off, Okposo, and Gergensen's too. And guys, let's not forget, first year in 3 years, our cap's going up. Yep. And that's why I think you see the deals we made earlier with Thompson. Who else signed big extensions for us, Duane? What was it? Samuelson, right? And here, Cody, hear me out. I disagree. I think that maybe not this year, but I think that if we're this close, I think you go out and make a smart. Because Duane, you go back to our when we did get kind of close, and then we'd have a big summer. Those players were all busts. We didn't hit on any. When's the last free agent we hit on?
It's been a while. I mean, the biggest free agent signing we've made in the last 5 years was definitely Taylor Hall, and that didn't.
I was going to say Billy Leno, but
Billy Leno, that was fantastic. Listen, going back to Matt's comment, he brought up Bishop. I think last year when we bought Bishop's contract for a pick. I mean, again, we're entirely in a position where we can be the third team broker on some of these deals. The Pat Kane deal, why couldn't that be the Buffalo? Why has it been Arizona? Why Arizona has so much dead money in their organization from contracts they just keep eating and to pick up picks? Like, it's insane. And why can't that be Buffalo? And that goes back to my last point about me believing that some type of stake of this team might be for sale. What do you do? What do you do when you sell something? You spend money? No, you don't spend money. You liquidate. I mean, they brought in a new chief operating officer. This guy, COO, David Roth from Fidelity. I think his first name is David from Fidelity Investments. The guy has zero experience running a hockey team or anything with hockey, and he's new CEO of the team.
You know what he's handled though in his past, Duane? Mergers and acquisitions.
Exactly.
Do some homework, people.
I personally think,
but I heard some whispers. I'm on the record right now, but I'm not revealing any sources. I'm just saying, look into his past. Like Duane said, some puzzle pieces come together that make you shake your head. I'm not against the Bagula selling. If that means we're going to have consistent owners that are committed to keeping the team here and doing it the right way. Look at Los Angeles. Look what they've been able to do. They were behind us. They lost their guys, but now they're still finding a way to compete. I don't know. I think there's too many. You look at Ottawa. We're now tied with them. We were up on them. We could have made use of all that. And now it's not even just that we lost out on Chychrun. Now we're going to be playing against him. And right-handed defensemen are so hard to find. And who do we have in the system that is that guy? Nobody. So that's not going to go away. We are not going to make it out of the first round or maybe even into the playoffs until we can find that third defenseman that can really help give Darlene, give Power more favorable matchups. Outside of that, the goaltending. Devin Levi will be a stud. Just going back, Duane, on the Chychrun. Did he re-sign a deal after he signed? He did, right?
No, he hasn't re-signed. He's already signed for 2 more years.
Yeah, 4.6 over 2.
Yeah, 4.5, 4.6 over the next 2 years. Very doable for Buffalo to eat that. I want Adams at the deadline this year.
What about Gavrikov?
Who knows what Adams is doing behind the scenes? Relax, guys. Listen, like, not that you have to go sign big names, but I mean, look at all the transactions that have already happened. Like, you lost your cat. You lost 2 huge leaders in your team. What, 4 or 5 days ago, or however long it's been, like 3, 4, 5 days ago. Like, if you going into a game against Boston, if you were gonna make a deal, I think you would have made it already. Like,
and you wouldn't fucking bring in Stillman. Yeah, you're playing against maybe arguably the best regular season team of all time this year. With a coach, Jim Montgomery. Hey, how about a couple clicks for Jim Montgomery? Because for somebody that battled some serious mental health and some substance abuse issues, you know what? I give that man a lot of credit. For anybody that hasn't listened to his interview on Spin Chicklets a couple weeks ago, he didn't hide from a thing. He's come out, he got help, and he is a smart hockey man. For anybody that hasn't watched it, it's Paul Kariya's rookie year, the first ever ESPN project, Into the Woods, it's called, on YouTube. It follows around the Maine hockey championship team. Jimmy Montgomery, it's the best because it's like late 80s. I'm telling you, best hour documentary ever. Duane, in finishing up, looking at the other big deals, Ekholm, Edmonton gets their defenseman they needed, and they gave up the defenseman they thought was going to be the answer. I like Tyson Barrie, but listen, he's not Matthias Ekholm. No. Why does that deal make sense for Nashville?
They needed a defensive defenseman. They needed a guy who, could be a good stay-at-home defenseman who's going to protect their own end, and they haven't had that.
Nashville. Tyson Barrie's not that guy.
No, Tyson Barrie is an offensive.
Right, you misheard me. I understand completely why Ekholm makes sense for Edmonton. Why is Nashville in Barry Trotz's first move? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I trust Barry Trotz. I think.
Yeah, well, I think that he recognizes the current state of the organization, and right now, I mean, they got a ransom for him. They got a great return for Ekholm.
Yeah, they did.
They got a first,
with less money and more term.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. There's going to be a huge lack of, especially in our division. There's a huge lack of draft capital in the East right now for the next couple drafts.
Yes,
but they're loaded in the West. And
we just added a 3rd round pick. Let's get some goalie trades real quick. Friend of the program, Eric Portillo, Michigan guy through and through. I think he sees the writing on the wall with how well Levi is, and made it clear to the Sabres his intentions. We don't lose him for nothing. We get back a 3rd round pick in 2023. Guys, that's not bad. That is when we drafted him. He was a 4th round pick, right?
No, he was a 3rd round pick. He was a 3rd round pick.
Okay, so you're getting back your pick, and a guy that is never going to play for you anyways. Levi's continue to tear it up. Other than that, another interesting name, John Gillies, ends up in Columbus. Now, here's a guy that was drafted high, had a great career. I want to say it was at not Vermont, but one of the hockey schools, Providence. Did really well. Was in Calgary's system. Kind of got stuck behind some guys. He's bounced around.
Yep.
And here's the interesting part. Gillies goes to Columbus. Okay, Jacob Voracek, who is not wasn't a Tortorella guy, and obviously was out of there. Got to Columbus. So he ends up in Arizona. I don't know how long he's going to stay. The logo on the front is a hell of a long way, more important than the name on the back. You candy ass. Mm-hmm. Hey, a bruise on the leg's a hell of a long way from the heart. You candy ass.
Exactly.
Great quote. Too much overpassing, stopping, skating, not shooting enough. when lanes open. Always wrong play, especially because of the middle stats line. They struggle tonight. They were combined -9. Time to switch up lines, Paterka and Quinn. Listen, I'm not in there, but when you lose a guy like Tuck, when everything's starting to gel, right? Like all the lines were buzzing. I think that affects every single line. Bryson's killing me. Duane, the second time. I didn't see it. Why does he get the start over Clegg? And
I mean, why are our options? Why are our options in our bottom two units Bryson and Clegg? What?
Hey, what about
why?
What
you
happened?
Traded Josh Bloom. You traded Josh Bloom for Riley fucking Stillman. Like,
Greg.
It's hands down the worst trade of the deadline right now. And I mean, it might not be a huge trade, but it's the worst trade of the deadline across the league. Like, you traded a second round pick, a guy who is going to for sure be on make an NHL team, whether that is with Vancouver or not. He's going to be a bottom six guy. He's a penalty killer. And, he might end up being like a better, more skilled version of Gergensen's. And you lost that guy for Riley Stillman.
And so no, you're bang on. I agree with you. On the goalie trades, another interesting one. Jonathan Quick, a New York guy that me and you grew up watching. Right. Sorry. Too bad the Oilers are never going to win a cup no matter what they do. Yeah. You know what? It doesn't matter. They already fucking won 4 in a row. So, you know what? Well, I ask you on this. Do you want to see McDavid and them win?
As much as I want to see McDavid make a deep playoff run, I personally want to see him won out of Edmonton because I think it'd be the best thing for hockey.
I agree. Can we address this comment right here?
Yep, Duane, we need a major overhaul, all 4 lines, no depth, no secondary scoring, no reliable goaltender, no two-way centerman, no physical stay-at-home, consistent defensive first line.
I'm going to fight back on this big time. Listen, we need to make some moves. A major overhaul at this point? No fucking way.
I don't think any major overhaul.
No two-way centerman? Really?
I think Thompson and Cousins are two, and the stats prove it. Cousins more so than Thompson.
Right, but Thompson drives play offensively, so therefore
so he doesn't have to play defense.
As good.
Yeah,
can he get better at it? Yes, but that's why we have him locked in. When you make this, when you make this an ultimatum, like we have to tear it all down. I disagree. We have to make changes. But to say we have nothing, no, come on, man.
I think we have great depth, especially in the pipeline right now, especially down the middle. You have you've drafted.
Look how many centers are playing win, Duane. You said that earlier.
Yeah, you have in the last 2 drafts, you've had 5 first-round picks. You drafted all. You've taken all of those picks, and 4 of them were centermen. The other one was Owen Power. You have a ton of depth down the middle, but that too, and Johnny, you could probably ask this, how often when you have this type of wealth of riches in your pipeline, you have 9 picks in this next coming draft.
It's crazy.
All 4 of those centermen, Yuri Kulik, Matthew Savoy, Noah Ostlund, and Isaac Rosine. What are the chances of all 4 of those guys contributing on the ice for you in the next 2 to 3 years?
100% with 2 to 3 years. Here's the cool part. I think Kulik could play in the National League next year. Okay. I think Ostlund's playing himself into a definite NHL player. I don't know whether he'll fit into that, bottom 9 place.
But that's my point, though, is you have a wealth of riches. It's a numbers game.
I agree with you completely. In the
numbers game
you brought up, Duane, that takes apart this whole. And I'm sorry, Mauricio. I see where I'm frustrated too after what I just saw. But we have the best college hockey goalie of all time, in my opinion. And guys, here's where I say this: there's only 2 people that have put up numbers like this: Mike Richter and Ryan Miller. Okay. And in that category. Yep. A lot of times you see college goalies take a little bit more time to develop. I don't think so. I think our goaltending problem, he's already in the picture. The defensive defensemen and the rough guys, yes, but we already addressed that. There's something missing on the back end. Duane's 100% right. But it's not even, guys, not about the big names. It's about the right fits. And Duane's made a bunch of good points about this, where even if you miss out on Chikrin, you don't bring in Stillman. You bring in a guy that makes sense for this group. We're not winning it this year. Would it be nice to make the playoffs? Sure. but you need a guy that's going to make this team better in 2 to 3 years.
Well, look at Detroit. They traded Hornick. Was it Hornick? Who did they trade him to? Philip Hornick.
Today, or no, it was yesterday. I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, he was traded for a first and a second. You know,
no, this isn't not.
They got a better return for Hornick than Arizona got for Chychrun.
How about Tyler Bertuzzi? The Red Wings got
That's a guy I hope we have our eyes on in free agency.
Guys, I played against him for 2 games when he was a rookie. He is a son of a bitch, just like his old man. Not a fun guy to play against. Hey, the goalie trade I want to talk about, Johnny Quick. So break us down for us, because Columbus, not only you don't see this every day.
Traded for Jonathan Quick. It was Quick and
conditional first, conditional third. Oh wait, I'm talking about the Columbus trade.
Yeah. Columbus traded for Jonathan Quick.
They got Korpisalo, Gavrikov. Damn it, I thought Gavrikov could have been a good fit for us. Maybe if they don't re-sign him, Sabres fans and Mariuccio.
It was a great return. It was a great return for
a first and a third.
Yeah, Columbus got a first and a third, and then Jonathan Quick, correct?
Yep. And
I think there was one more player in there.
Gavrikov, who's a very good defenseman, and Korpisalo. Here's the thing: Gavrikov, if I'm not mistaken, is a UFA. He's somebody, Duane, that I would like to see us go out and take a look at.
Yep, I agree. And then Jonathan Quick wasn't happy at all about it, and rightfully so. The guy's played in LA his entire career.
Doesn't help the whole, hey, Johnny Gaudreau chose Columbus. We're different. Jonathan Quick just said, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So Columbus does right by him. They trade him to Vegas, where he can still be relatively close to home and play for a contender. And you know what, man? Maybe he turns it on for the Vegas Golden Knights. We all know how phenomenal of a playoff goaltender Jonathan Quick is. Once he's there, what he's capable of. We'll see if he's still capable of that type of hockey, of play, of excelling his play to that level. But I thought that LA did him dirty, and I'm glad Columbus traded him somewhere where he could be back closer to home, because that guy deserves a little bit of respect.
Now, I think that was the only other goalie trade I want to talk about, but hear me out. So the one that gets me the most is Toronto's deals, and your buddy Steve Daniels going to have a night. So they got last week they got McCabe, and they were able to get Chicago to eat half of his deal. They got Sam Lafferty, who's a fringe, might be a career minor league player, might not. A 4th round pick and a 5th round pick. And Chicago got Joey Anderson, one of the Leafs' best prospects, who's going to be an NHLer. Pavel Gugelel, and 5th and a 2nd. So they got McCabe. And then here's the cool part. Back in my first year in the OHL, 2008, that draft year, it was like Bogosian.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the top 4, there was great because Pietrangelo went 4th. Doughty, Shen, Bogosian, all those guys went in the top 5. Shen was originally picked 5th overall in 2008. And the reason I know this is because Pietrangelo went 1 pick before him. Talk about a great D draft. After all the turmoil that Shen, you remember when Shen was getting shit on in the Leafs because they brought him up right away, struggled. Yep. He's finally going back. Muzzin's out for the year. Is McCabe, who's a Buffalo guy, or like a Buffalo player we've seen. I didn't hate his game. I think it was maybe. I would
have loved for them to bring back Jake McCabe.
Right, and that's my point. He's a guy right now that is like, that's what we're talking about. We need, but now he's with the Leafs, and we talk about the Leafs all the time. Duane, is it enough for them to go forward with losing Muzzin? Because you all know it's going to come down to goaltending, which has been good for them. Mm-hmm. The new guy they brought in has been great. Outside of Murray. Is McCabe and Luke Shen enough?
I think so. I think you add a lot of grit to your. Listen, everybody knows playoff hockey is a different brand of hockey. It's much more physical, much more tenacious.
But if it's honestly, they play Tampa.
Honestly, you're going to need.
I'm asking, is that enough for them to beat Tampa?
They also got O'Reilly.
Oh yeah, damn.
They picked up. There was another, they're all in. They're all in right now. The Maple Leafs are absolutely all in right now.
I hope Dubas, best of luck to you, bro. I don't know if this goes wrong.
I mean, this isn't a situation where you need to this isn't a situation where you need to get past the first round. This is a situation where you need to get to the finals.
No, if they get to the conference finals, he keeps his job.
I think so.
But if you lose in the first 2 rounds, if you lose in the first round, he's gone. If they lose in the second round, and it's like game 7, I don't know. You're right, Duane. Maybe it is Stanley Cup Finals or bust.
Look at that roster. I mean, just look at that roster.
I watched him play. I watched O'Reilly's first game, and it was embarrassing. I got my dad his fucking goddamn Christmas present, and we're outnumbered by Leafs fans. I almost fight 6 of them, and we get fucking run out of the building. It was a fucking embarrassment. So you're right. I was just curious because Dangle talks about it a lot. That defense, guys, has been their Achilles heel.
Mm-hmm.
And with Muzzin now done, credit to Shanahan and Dubas and company for making the money work. McCabe's a valuable piece. He's a fucking mean defenseman.
Yeah.
And Shen the same way. He's not fast, but he plays heavy. I just think it's going to be really interesting, man. I really do. I am. Congrats to my former coach, DJ Smith. And I want to take 1 second, Duane. The assistant coach in Ottawa for him is Bob Jones, who was my head coach back in Windsor. He got diagnosed with ALS. I just wanted to take a minute and ask for everybody to say some prayers for Bob Jones's family and ALS. It's been a disease that has touched so many lives. There's a very touching video that I will retweet tonight that I would like all of you to share. Bob Jones was so good to me in a time where my career was ending, and they turned me into a pro hockey player. But it's not just that. He was there as a father figure when I was 5 hours away from home, when you're still growing up. And that man had such an impact on me. And to the Jones family and to Bob, I love you, Coach. And I hope that you beat this, and I know you can. And our thoughts and prayers for Two Boys One Mic go out to you. Mm-hmm. Go get him, Jonesy.
Yep. Another thing too, I definitely want to touch on, and again, thoughts and prayers out to Jonesy.
Thank you.
Jason Arno, the Buffalo firefighter who lost his life yesterday. That was actually my uncle's firehouse number 2, engine number 2. He just recently retired. I believe I recognized the firefighter who lost his life from when I was at the firehouse that night celebrating my uncle's retirement. My uncle was actually down there on Main Street, giving any support he could. And a player, my buddy Brandon, who he didn't play with us this session, but in the past sessions, he's played with my men's league team. Jason was his best friend. And he even mentioned to me that he was 20 feet away when Jason Arno went down and during that fire.
Can we do a moment of silence, Duane?
Huh?
Can we do a moment of silence?
Absolutely.
And Duane, my condolences, thoughts and prayers for what his family's going through. And you know what? I've always said it. I didn't have firefighters in my family, but the ultimate respect. And that's a tough one.
It is. And, I hope that the community comes together like they have for other things in the past. I'm sure his family could use the help. I know firefighters will always take care of their own.
Can you share the link with us? And I'll make sure.
I plan on it. I plan on maybe doing something myself in terms of a donation through the Buffalo Strong Foundation.
I know a certain Sudbury Wolf that would probably help with that.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
Let me ask you one thing when you're done with this. Keep going.
Yeah. So I hope that I don't know. I hope that his family and his brothers and sisters, firefighters down at Engine 2 and across Buffalo, that they, I know, and especially that engine, that house was a very tight knit group. Brandon, I talked to him last night, and he was very.
All right. Is he doing okay?
He's emotional. He was his best friend.
And he was there.
He saw it happen, and it sucks. And it was a very classy move by the Bruins tonight, owned by the Jacobs family, who's from Buffalo too. Honored Jason in between whistles tonight up on the Jumbotron. So definitely a lot of respect to the
especially in away, the Jacobs family, dude. That's you love to see that because you never see that on away teams. You know what I mean?
And you know what? That's what also makes me kind of more disgusted by the effort tonight. Buffalo suffered a loss last night, a very big loss. And anyone who saw the videos from that 4-alarm fire yesterday, they know how bad it was. And, we've come together for so many other causes, and you don't have to win tonight, but that effort can't be like that. And that's what's disgusting to me too, is thinking about it now. It's just like, man, like we lost one of our own last night, an absolute tragedy. Show an effort, leave everything out on the ice, even if you're going to lose. I know it's the best team in the National Hockey League, arguably the best regular season team of all time.
You don't fucking give up.
They gave up tonight. They gave up.
I hope that this is a one-time conversation we have, Duane, because, like you said, in honor and memory of a fallen firefighter in this community of love that was probably a Sabres fan. Like, if you can't fucking find a way to dig deep and do it, because we've both seen how the Sabres and the Bills has brought this community together in so many times of need. And you're right, Duane.
So, I don't know, maybe, in terms of the firehouse, I'll talk to a few friends of the program and see, locally, and see if maybe they'd be willing to go down there. Like I said, I'll do my best there. But with that being said, a few more comments here. Will they have a memoriam Saturday at the game? I'd imagine so, 100%. I hope someone made a comment during the game that they would hope that maybe they'll donate half of the 50-50 raffle to the family. I think that'd be a very classy move by the organization, and they should do that.
And and I encourage Delaware North to match it, and maybe 100%. That's something we can get behind.
I bet you they will.
Behind it.
I hope they do. What I meant about overhaul is balance the top three lines, split the Thompson line with Tuck out right now, you got to
you have to.
Normally if Tuck wasn't hurt, I would say no way, leave that line alone.
Not a chance, but you're right, Duane. Yeah. In these moments, you have to. But here's the hard part, Mariuccio. I'd say one more time. Mauricio. I think the part that gets lost in this is part of the reason why the Lions were playing so well is that they had consistency, right?
Conspiracy theorist, I love it.
But listen, I think that when you get put with a new line, you're seeing the chemistry between Skinner, Tuck, and Thompson, right? Yeah. Like that has a ripple effect because now whoever goes up to replace Tuck comes off another line, and so it might take some time, guys. I've been there, and I talking to forwards. I'm like, hey, when coach switches lines every day, does that fuck with you? And they're like, it's the worst thing ever. You don't really know like if something's going to work from such a small sample size. So that's my only pushback on that.
Yep. But now you have Saturday's game against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Such a big game.
I believe that's a home. I think it's a home game. I want to say it's a home game.
I can tell you this right now. The wild card standings. Pittsburgh is at 71 points, 61 games played, the first spot in the wild card. New York Islanders with 64 games played, they have 70 points. Okay.
Yep.
And both these teams, so Pittsburgh in their last 10 is 5-5, but they're on a 4-game winning streak. Okay.
Yep.
New York Islanders 4-3-3 in their last 10. And they're on a 1-game overtime losing streak. The Buffalo Sabres, 60 games played, 66 points, and in our past 10, we're at 5-5, and we're on a 2-game losing streak. Yep. Right behind us, same point amount. Duane, guess without looking how many teams are tied with us at 66?
3.
4. So Ottawa, 61 games played, 66 points. Florida, 63 games played, 66 points. Washington, 63 with 66. And you go back, a lot of these teams, Ottawa's on a 4-game winning streak, 7-2-1 their last 10. Nothing outside of that to really note. But then you got Washington and Detroit right there. One question: what, like Washington, is this the end for them? You look at the deals they made. They sent off Lars Eller. Is this it? Like, what does that mean for Ovi? They lost Johansson.
Well, here's one thing. Here's one point I want to make before we sign off here. I've seen a lot of, and it's not coming from any like legitimate accounts on Twitter. I've seen a lot of chatter about Tom Wilson.
Who?
About Tom Wilson, a guy who's only under contract through next year.
Friend of the program, Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
He punched me in the head.
That is a guy that if you're gonna sell a lot of assets for, I 1000% do it.
Why do you think? Why do you think?
A lot of teams would say there's no way he would want to come here. Why wouldn't he want to come here? He already has a cup, and B, he's pretty fucking close to home playing in Buffalo. He may be from Toronto.
He is.
Huh?
I'll tell you his hometown right now. Go
Toronto.
ahead.
He's from Toronto. He was born and raised in Toronto.
Right, I know, but his minor hockey. Keep going. Just keep going. I think that's a guy I would pick up. Matthew Tkachuk is what came to mind for me. Look at what they gave up. They gave up Jonathan Huberdeau, who they just won a President's Trophy with, and Mackenzie Weegar for a guy like that. And I'm not saying Tom Wilson's that type of player, but Tom Wilson brings more jam than him.
I trade 2 first-round picks, a second, and a prospect right now.
I would trade my
100%.
Just kidding. I love you, Adley. I would trade a first, and you know what? I'd give him Savoy in a second.
It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Tell me it's not. Like you don't find many players like Tom Wilson just ever available. Like he.
All right, I'm on Tommy's. I'm on his. You're right. He's from Toronto. He was selected first round in 2012. He played for the Junior Canadians and was drafted very high in the OHL. And here's the best part. So I got to play against him a lot, Duane. He fought me, and in that last season, Tommy recorded 141 penalty minutes, probably fucking 70 of them against us.
Yeah.
But no, I would love Tom. Hey, everybody says it. Tom Wilson, when he makes a bad hit, fuck, this guy's the worst. Everybody would kill to have him on his team. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's much like what'd you say?
They said Lisa Ann for majority.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was funny. Listen. He's much like Brad Marchand.
By the way, who left today's game and did not return.
Yeah, I got into it with Peyton Krebs too. Peyton Krebs manhandled them tonight.
Who would ever thought that Peyton Krebs would be the next Andrew Shaw middleweight?
I know, right?
I love it. I'm all for it.
Again, next 2 games, Tampa Bay at home, the Oilers at home, and then you're away against the Islanders, a team that's right there with you in this playoff race. You got to come out of this with 2 out of 3, right? You got to win 2 out of the next 3.
How about that? I say 4 out of the next 5, right? Because when you look at what's still going on tonight, it might not end well for our guys on the West Coast.
What is your reaction if we don't make another move between now and 3 p.m. tomorrow?
What move, though? Like, here's my point.
Any move.
I don't like the people screaming, hey, we need to make a move. If it's a move that makes us better towards our goal of being a Stanley Cup winning team within 5 years and being a playoff team for the next 4, I'm all for it. But I think we need to look at this and one thing. If Tuck and Dahlin are truly out for this year, then I say, you know what? Let's get our young guys in. Anybody that's not going to be here, get them out for what we can. And we're not going to get assets that we're not going to get. We're going to lose the free agency. Yeah. I want our young guys to get a ton of ice time. But if those 2 come back, here's my thing. If you're going to make one trade, I would think it would be for a top 4 defenseman or a goaltender. But the Tuck injury fucks with me. The goaltender would have to be a pure rental. That's why I thought, because Quick ain't, what other goalie could be a great mentor to Levi than Jonathan Quick?
I mean, I remember when we had Kyle on the show and we talked a lot about Johnny Quick.
And guess what?
He would be a great player. He would be a great player to add to this lineup. Pardon?
I mentioned that Levi has similar numbers to Richter and Miller. Guess who's number 3 on that list, not including Levi?
Johnny Quick.
Johnny Quick.
But yeah, I would love to see a true mentor. Not that Craig Anderson isn't a mentor, but I can't imagine.
But he's at the end of his rope, dude.
He's not playing after this year. There's no way.
Quick credit to him, couple clicks, like for everything we talk about as a goalie. What a human being. What his wife went through. I'm happy that he ended here.
Yep. You want to know, but one last point on Chychrun.
No, let me turn that around. What would you do?
What would I do in terms of what?
Tomorrow by 3.
If you're gonna take the rest of the season seriously, find a goalie. I think see what's
Corbasalo, dude. We could have got Corbasalo.
Yeah, 100%. You could have got Corbasalo, and I've always liked him. We had Jean-Luc Rampierre on a couple of times. We talked a lot about that those goalies and Elvis and Corpusalo. You know
what? An interview. We got to get Jay Louet. We got to get him back. Yep. What a
100%. Guy. I just I think goaltending. And
but somebody that's not gonna
definitely depth scoring.
Yeah, and we're not Stillman is the answer. Good. I know we went a lot longer. Guys, I'm pleased to announce that now that the hockey season's winding down, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this ugly mug. Friend of the program, Quentin Musty. He's anywhere from top 11th to 25 in the first round. What I wanted to end on is, with the Sabres, maybe it's possible where we're picking. I don't know. Would love to see that, but I just want to say local kid, Quentin Musty, first ever, Hamburg kid or, Buffalo kid to get first overall in the OHL, and he's doing well, and a couple clicks for him and his family, and exciting time for him. Just talking to his dad a little bit last night. He's interviewing with teams, Duane. They're doing that whole process, and that's every kid's dream, right? Like,
it is.
So some funny stories. Would love to do it in the next segment we do next week about maybe after the draft, some of the funniest things that have been asked.
One comment I did want to make about Jacob Chychrun, though, that I didn't get to make earlier was I was never a guy who pounded the pavement that needed Jacob Chychrun. I never wanted to pay the price.
That role, though, is that defense.
Yeah,
type of needed.
I was never a guy who demanded him. The asking price from Arizona was always way too high. What upset me and upset other fans was, you heard Kevin Adams with that interview with Pierre LeBrun say, if the trade makes sense for us, it can't be a rental. It's got to be something that's going to help us now and in the future.
Did he get beat? Do you think he got beat to the phone, or do you think he was just too passive?
I don't know. I mean, Arizona mentioned. Let me finish. Arizona mentioned there were a lot of teams interested, but most teams weren't a lot willing to pick up all of Chychrun's salary. But
we have the room, though.
I know. But when you see that return and know that you could have easily beaten that return, that's what pisses people off, because it wasn't remotely anything close to what we believed they wanted. Nothing close, but Arizona backed themselves into a corner, waiting as long as they did. Other teams that were suitors for Chychrun went and found their guys like Hornick, guys like,
Ottawa was never in the conversation at all. So for that to sneak in and get that deal makes me pissed off, because what's the one thing Kevin Adams always says? He's always on the phone. He's always calling, even if it's just to see what's there. You know what I mean? You've heard him say that, right?
Yep.
And if that's the truth, Kevin, then you got fucking fleeced, because Ottawa made you look like a bitch, and maybe Arizona tried to get more out of Buffalo, but a good negotiator gets that done.
100%.
I disagree.
Huh?
I disagree with DeBrincat, because who does he displace in this lineup? I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about with the guys we have in the 4-year names.
Top 6?
No. I'm not talking about this year, because he would need an extension. For the next 4 years, do you want him over Kulik and the others you named? Sorry, go through Osland.
Yeah. I mean, it
Savoy.
would depend. It would depend on what the ask from DeBrincat is in terms of salary.
I don't know where he fits in this lineup. Like we have a lot of talented centers playing wings and vice
Yep.
versa. Maybe it would work, but again, yeah, the asking price has got to be right. And guys, you got to understand with the cap going up, DeBrincat's agent smart. He's going to sign for as much as Tage Thompson probably, which doesn't make sense to a lot of you. But if he signs in 2 years when he gets extended, like the cap's going to be up $3.5 million. We're done paying escrow on the loan we took out from COVID. Duane, I know I said we do a quick show. Anything else you want to add before we end it?
Oh no, just again, hopefully Saturday they come with a better effort and ready to play in front of a home crowd. Saturday crowds are usually pretty big, so I'd imagine that it'll be close to a full house there. Yeah, Ryan Miller, there it is.
Hey, Duane, they didn't misspell his name.
They did not misspell it. Yeah, well,
I heard that. Marty and what's his name? The guys that took over for our boys, Petey and them.
Brian Duff and Marty Baron.
They mentioned that, but they kind of skirted around it, and I'm like, Duane.
Right, I appreciate it.
Chikrin
did get hurt tonight against Rangers. Don't know the severity of the injury.
Doug?
Yeah.
Dougie,
he did get hurt. He did get hurt, but here's the thing.
Hey, Doug Clark's my old neighbor. Dougie. Tell Denny and the family I love you guys. It's great to hear from you, brother.
But with that being said, remember, guys, it's been brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case on George Urban Boulevard. Don't waste, don't haste. Go buy a case. Drown away your sorrows from these Buffalo Sabres. And, I'll hang up and listen. We'll see you later.